Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres and I welcome you. Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf every week to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. And this week, we're going to be talking about the Solheim Cup. So that's Team Europe, Team USA. So we have to bring in the reinforcements. The European golf guru, Kieran Clark, is here with us. Can't wait to hear what he's going to say. So let's bring him on. Kieran, hi, how are you today?
Hello, Carlos. How are you? And obviously looking forward to a very, very exciting week ahead. The Solheim Cup is always one of the highlights on the calendar. I think particularly after the last edition at Glen Eagles 2 years ago in 2019, when Suzanne Pettersson with the ultimate mic drop moment there and holding that putt to win, then retiring immediately afterwards. An amazing story, an amazing Solheim Cup. And I think that event 2 years ago was probably one of the absolute best golf events we've had in the past decade. And the Solheim Cup always delivers on drama, sometimes some controversy there too. But much like the Ryder Cup, Carlos, it's definitely an event that transcends golf, transcends sport. It brings more eyes to the women's game and to golf generally because everyone loves that head-to-head US versus Europe match play, team match play in particular. It's always compelling. And I think this is going to be a really, really intriguing week. From Inverness Club in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, of course, a home game for Fred, so he would love him to talk about this. But I think we're set for a really, really intriguing week, Carlos, and potentially another classic Solheim.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been waiting just too long. Fred, hi, how are you today?
Hey guys, you're right, man. I can't wait to get down there. I'm heading down there tomorrow. I want to mention also too that the Junior Solheim will be held in Toledo at the Sylvania Country Club, and Annika Sorenstam and my good friend, and her name just went right out of my head. I'm sorry, but they're the captains for the Junior Solheim legend there in Ohio. It's going to be good stuff as well. But that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading into the Solheim over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh man, Renee Powell will be.
Renee Powell, I know. I just see that's what happens when you get old, right there. It goes right out of your head. Boom.
I hope you don't call me friend and forget about my name.
Yeah, very close personal friend.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start calling you Kieran. I called Kieran that Carlos when you weren't there.
I know it's. But anyway, we're gonna have the Solheim Cup. The adult version is going to be played. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, the Solheim Cup is a golf tournament for women professional golfers. It resembles the men's Ryder Cup. It's held every 2 years, features 2 teams of 12 golfers, each from the United States and Europe. And this event began in 1990. And in the 15 tournaments held so far for the Cup, the United States have won 10, lost 5. 2015 and 2017, the Americans took home the Solheim Cup after Europe had won it in 2011 and 2013. 2017, the US squad won 16.5 to 11.5 over the Europeans. Now, how is the format that they play? This 2021 is going to feature follow the same format that it has been before. And over the first 2 days of the event, there's a morning and an afternoon session. During those sessions, 4 groups of 2 golfers from each team will face in either one of 2 styles of play. It is going to be foursomes or alternative shot and the 4-ball. In the foursomes, each team will only play with 1 golf ball and alternate the player after each shot. Thus, the alternative shot naming. Now, on the 4-ball, that's where all 4 players play their ball to conclusion, and then the player on each team with the lowest score is pitted against one another, and the lowest score wins the point for the hole. This is a match play type of play for the scoring. Now, they will be playing those sessions for 4 foursomes and 4 4-balls on day 1. Again, that will repeat that doses on day 2 before all 12 players will be playing singles to close out the competition. That'll be on Sunday. The foursomes and 4-balls will feature 8 players from each team, while all participants will play in 12 single matches. So not necessarily all the players are going to be playing in one session. Now, the goal is to score 14.5 points to win the Solheim Cup. If the 2 teams end in a 14-14 draw, then the previous winner is allowed to retain the cup. What happened last time? Well, Team Europe won its first Solheim Cup title since 2013 in a thrilling battle. It was that drop the mic by Susanne Pedersen to win and then retire. They were trailing by 2 points, heading into the final stretch. The home team won 3 consecutive games to capture the title by a single point with a 14.5 to a 13.5 score. That meant it was Europe's third win in the last 5 editions, making it the Teams Europe's most successful run in the tournament history. Team Europe had won only 3 of the first 11 editions. So now they're coming back to the States, and Fred, they're going to be playing at the Inverness Club. So how about the course for the Solheim Cup this year?
Yeah, guys, we got a glimpse of the Andrew Green renovation at Inverness last year when the LPGA resumed their 2020 season with the drive-on championship won by Danielle Kang. It was in U.S. Women's Open condition. It looked like it was a USGA championship course. It's like that now as well. It's in fantastic shape. We will see smallish greens. They're not the biggest greens in the world, narrow fairways and thick, very thick rough. When I played the course a couple of weeks ago, the rough did not appear to be tall. And in talking with Superintendent John Zimmers, he told me the rough would not be too long, but it's very thick. I only had to hit a couple shots out of the rough, but it grabbed my club every time, and I got very little out of the shot. The rough will cost the players about a half a shot if they hit it in there. Accuracy will be an important component this week. Watch the fairways hit stat, and I bet the leaders will have the best percentages there. Like I said, the greens are smallish. Again, Andrew Green did expand a few greens to add some pin placements, but they are not that big. Watch for a lot of chipping around the greens. Better than average short games will come into play this week as well, guys. So it's going to be a USGA championship type atmosphere, type setup on the golf course. We've had some rain in Toledo, but the golf course hopefully will be dried out and be firm and fast. It should be perfect for this weekend.
One question, because I heard that, that we have hurricane, now tropical storm Ida, it says that it might affect the Ohio Valley. Would that affect, have you heard anything about that affecting?
I didn't look at the tracking to see how far north it would go. The last hurricane veered off to the east and did not come up there. By the time that those things get up into northern Ohio, they're pretty well washed out. We may get an inch or two of rain, but that will probably be about it. And then it blows out. The golf course can accept a lot of water. Over the years, they've done a great job with the irrigation. They've updated it and modernized it. So it's going to have to be really wet for it to affect play.
All right. So now let's take a look at the players. And let's start with Team Europe. Kieran, for Team Europe, the automatic qualifiers were Emily Peterson, Georgia Hall, Carlota Ciganda, Charlie Hall, Anna Nordqvist, and Sophia Popov. And Captain Katrina Matthew had to choose 6 players, which is some people would say, well, that's would it be a curse? Would it be a blessing? But she did choose Celine Boutier, Matilda Castron, who's playing amazing, Nana Kortz-Madsen also playing well, Leonard Maguire playing amazing as well, Mel Reed and Madeline Saxton, who's playing really well as Captain Spigs. So Kieran, how about Team Europe? And do you think Captain Katrina Matthew got the right picks again?
I think so. I think she's chosen players who are in form, and that's always a key thing, particularly when you're coming into the Solheim Cup. You find players who are confident, and definitely the players who she's picked are supremely confident right now, and especially the rookies. We talk about the rookies so much in these events and how inexperience can be very costly and potentially a very difficult thing to overcome in a Solheim Cup. The players she has are certainly on form this season and seem to be more than capable of performing on this grand stage. And of course, Katrina Matthew herself, she led Europe to victory 2 years ago at Glen Eagles on home soil for her in Scotland, and obviously a stalwart of the Solheim Cup. She's got Laura Davis, Catherine Imrie, and Susanne Pedersen by her side as the backroom team, as the assistant. So a really experienced unit right there. And you mentioned so many of the players there, Carlos, and I think what stands out to me about this team is how well balanced it is. I mean, the experienced players that she has, likes of Anna Nordqvist, of course, the Women's Open champion just a couple of weeks ago, Georgia Hall is a great Solheim Cup record. Former Women's Open champion herself, played very well at Carnoustie and finished second there. Charlie Hull's got an unbelievably good Solheim Cup record, won 70% of her matches in her career so far, her very young career as it is right now. Obviously, Sophia Popov, another major winner, was the fairy tale story of last season. What can she do this week? Will be fascinating to see. The likes of Celine Boutier, obviously a very, very solid player, had an amazing Solheim Cup 2 years ago, won all 4 of her matches, a 100% record. Saganda from Spain has always been a really solid player in this event, one of those players you really want to have on your team. You can be a real unsung hero among the 12 players. And then the other players are in the team as well, Carlos. Emily Pedersen made her debut 4 years ago, but a much better player now, won 4 times in the LAT last year. She'll go for a better second appearance. Matilda Castron, of course, the American-born Finnish player who has an amazing year, breakthrough year. One in the LPGA, one in the LAT, one of the informed players in the game, and I expect her to have a really, really strong week, and she could be one of the breakthrough stars at the Solheim Cup. Nana Madsen, of course, who is a rookie, who has played very well in big events this year at the ANA Inspiration. She finished third there. And of course, we do remember at Carnoustie just a week or two ago, shocking finish on the 72nd hole to have a chance to win the championship there with the Women's Open, but obviously it fell apart on the last hurdle in quite spectacular fashion, but still a great performance. There were over 71 holes in the big championship, and she'll go now to carry that form into her first Solheim Cup. And another player, Carlos, I think looks really strong is Leonard Maguire, the first Irish player to play in the Solheim Cup, who's had a really strong season, shot some amazing rounds. She finished second to Nelly Corder back in June at the Meyer Classic. Ridiculous scoring there. And then, of course, she shot that 61 at the Evian Championship, which is a joint record low in any major championship, male or female. And finally, Carlos, you've got Mel Reed, obviously an assistant captain 2 years ago, a very experienced player, very solid, loves this environment. One of those players you think will definitely thrive and be an on-course leader. She won on the LPGA Tour last season, obviously in great fashion and a very emotional win. But would love to be back on the course this time round. And of course, Madelyn Sagström, tremendous player. Played in 2017, missed last time. She finished second at the Women's Open there last week, so in great form too. So I think the European team, Carlos, under Katrina Matthew, is very strong, very well balanced, great mix of youth and experience. And a lot of these players, I think, are playing very well right now. And I think they'll be quite quietly confident that they can have a really strong performance and potentially defend the cup. And, I wouldn't bet against them. I think as a tight-knit group, they could be very hard to beat.
They could, and definitely they won't have that all-time veteran like a Susanne Pedersen, but they definitely have a great balance of some veterans and young players as well. They have very good experience playing. So, Fred, on Team USA, we have Nelly Corda, we have Daniel Kang, Ali Ewing, Austin Ernst, Lexi Thompson, Jessica Corda, Megan Kang, Lisette Salas, and Jennifer Cupchow, who qualified automatically. And then Captain Pat Hurst selected Jialee Minot, Mina Harrigan, and Brittany Altvater to round out the team. Fred, Captain Pat Hurst decided to go young on this team. How about this Team USA?
It's got some questions to me, Carlos, as I was going through here for sure. Just talk about Pat Hurst briefly. She had a great LPGA Tour career. In 1995, she was Rookie of the Year, won 6 LPGA titles, including one major championship, the 1998 Dinah Shore, before it was the ANA Inspiration. She lost the 2006 U.S. Women's Open to Annika in a playoff. Matter of fact, point of reference, she was 0-4 in playoffs in her career, but 3 of those came at the hands of Annika Sorenstam. She was a member of 5 Solheim Cup teams, amassed an overall record of 10-7-3, and she has served as assistant captain to Julie Inkster. So talking about the team, you named them, and I'll just kind of start right at the top. And Nelly Corda, top-ranked player in the world, top of the money list, top of the race to CME Globe. She's at the top of her game. She should play in pretty much every match. If I don't know if she will. They might want to set her once, but if I were captain, I'd want her out there every time. She's long off the tee, very accurate iron player. That's what it's going to take. Daniel Kang, number 7 ranked player on the Rolex ranking, won twice in 2020, no wins this year, but does have 7 top 10s. Very gritty player, great for match play format, will make a great teammate for either 4-ball or foursomes. I would like to see her out there pretty much every match. Allie Ewing, 22 on the Rolex, number 22 in the Rolex rankings, number 17 on the race to CME Globe, has 1 win, 4 top 10s this year. Fairly long, not really strong in any one category, but top 10 in birdies made this year. She knows how to get the ball in the hole. Lexi Thompson, we know all about Lexi. She's 12th now in the Rolex ranking. She's a bomber, best in 4-ball with a more consistent, paired with a more consistent player. Has been one of the best women golfers in the world for a long time, but lately has had trouble closing the deal on Sunday in final rounds, not been playing well under pressure. That's something to watch for, I think. Austin Ernst, 27 in the Rolex rankings. 1 win at Ocala back in March. Last 4 finishes, guys, 25th, 35th, 47th, and cut. Really trending in the wrong direction. May limit her playing time to foursomes and then singles. You may want to pair with one of the bombers, maybe because she's a little bit more consistent. She's not a longer player. Jessica Korda, ranked number 17. Since she had her injury issues a year or so ago, she's just not come back to be the same dominating player we saw before. Yeah, she had a win earlier this year. She is still very good. Probably will play in most of the sessions. I don't know if I would play her both rounds every day. Might play her 3 out of the 4 or 2 out of the 4. I'm not sure. Megan Kang, 3 top 10s this year. Her best finish was a 4th in June at the U.S. Women's Open. Other than that, 29th, 27th, 15th, 31st, cut, and a 39th in her last several starts. Not in the best form coming into Solheim Cup. Lizette Salas, I think she might be the key to this whole deal. If she can have a strong week, maybe get 2 or 3 points, that would be big for the American team. She's a grinded out style player, very consistent, keeps in the fairway, hits greens. She's the kind of player that's perfect for Inverness. Jennifer Cupchow, this could be her coming out party. She's been playing pretty well this year, 4 top 10s, was a runner-up at Ocala earlier this year, and 3rd at the ISPS Hand a couple of weeks ago. So she's a rookie. She's still a little bit of an unknown, but I think this could be a very good week for her. Brittany Altamari, 54th in the world, was 2-1-1 in the 2019 Solheim in Germany, lost a foursome match with Lexi and had a win and a half in a 4-ball with Nelly. So we'll see her paired with one of the more experienced players, I'm sure. Yulimi Noah, kind of, she's been on a run since mid-July. She's finished 3rd, 14th, 7th, and 13th. 3 top 10s in her last 5 starts. So she's hot coming in. She's one of the hottest players coming into this on both teams. Mina Hargay cleared out 62 in the Rolex rankings. She's been around for a while. She turned professional in 2009 and 2009. She is definitely playing her best golf in 2021. She had a 5th at the Marathon Classic, and she was runner-up at Marathon and 5th at the ISPS Handed. So she's had some higher finish this year and been doing better. The rookies, Harrogate, Cupchow, Noah, like I say, they're I'm going to talk about them more. I'll talk about them more later, but I really think they have to at least get 3 points among the 3 of them somehow. And if they can get more, that's a bonus. Who to watch? Nelly Korda, Lexi Thompson, they have to come up big along with Danielle Kang. They have to be big. And I think Lisette Salas also needs to have a good week, Carlos.
So the champs and the defending champs is Team Europe carrying. All they have to do is tie 14-14. They retain the cup. It's going to be a difficult task always to go into the other team's home and try the home course and play, especially when the past 2 months, Inverness has been building the biggest grandstand in LPGA history. So not only they're going to face 20,000 rowdy fans daily there, they're going to have to face what is a rowdy crowd from those grandstands in various holes. So how does Team Europe retain the cup, and how do you see that they won't do that?
Well, I think when you go, as you say, Carlos, when you go away from home in the Solheim Cup, it's a very challenging prospect. And Europe has only won one edition in the US. It was a blowout win in Colorado in 2013, and that's the one victory they've had in away soil. So that is a obstacle to overcome. And of course, against a raucous home crowd, not very many European supporters will be there, of course, obviously due to COVID and travel and so on. So it's going to be a different kind of environment for them. But I feel in some respects that brings a team together. That kind of siege mentality. It's about them on the golf course together as a unit against the whole world in some respect. And I think the European team in the Solheim Cup and indeed in the Ryder Cup has always been better at coming together as a unit. And I think this group of players will do that very, very well again. And that can set them up really well. And players in that environment can actually outperform their strengths and their general play because the format inspires them, the atmosphere inspires them. And I think there's some personalities in this team who certainly fit that description. And for me, Carlos, there's two things that are very key here for Europe. Obviously, the seasoned players that we mentioned earlier, like the Nordquist, Hall, Hull, Saganda, who have very good Solheim Cup records, if they play to that form, that gives Europe a foundation to be competitive in the match. And then you're looking to your rookies, the less experienced players. Can they come up and show their form and their quality? And the likes of Matilda Castron and Leonard Maguire, as I mentioned earlier, they are two potential stars in the making. And this could be a real breakthrough for them on the biggest stage in women's golf. And I think those two in particular will be very strong this weekend. So if Europe can marry those two things together, where the veteran players, if you can call the likes of Hull and the Hall veterans now, but they are relatively speaking in this format, certainly, if they can perform to their usual standard at this event, and then those other players can raise their game and fulfill the potential they clearly have and shown on tour this year, then it gives Europe a very good chance of certainly being competitive into this match going into Sunday. And if they're within a couple of points and it's game on, and obviously then the final day will be a very, very intriguing one. So for me, that's the key for them is those first 2 days, can they potentially edge ahead of the US? And then it gives them a very good chance in the singles. But the weaknesses, Carlos, I think are also, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I think in fact it's an away fixture. An away game is very difficult in this event for Europe. Home advantage does count for a lot. The American team is a little bit unpredictable in some respects. There's some players there who need to show some better form, players who could be surprise stars. So it's more unpredictable in some respects. So, and obviously the word we mention so often in the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup is momentum. If that falls in the Americans' favour, if they get on a roll, they get some points going, those putts start dropping, that atmosphere starts reverberating around the golf course, that can help to raise the game of the American players. And that could be a really formidable thing to overcome. So for me, Carlos, it's a delicately poised challenge for Europe here. But if the stalwarts perform as we don't know they can, and the likes of Castron and Maguire, if they can raise their game and really show their quality on this stage, then I think there's actually an awful lot to like about this European team. And the more I look at it, the more I like it. And the more I look at it versus the American team, the more I like the European team. If you asked me maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I would probably say it's going to be quite a comfortable American win. But now I'm not so sure. I think this European team has a lot about it to like, and they might pull off a relative upset here again.
Fred, Team USA has the Cordations, right? The Cordas, aka Team Jelly, right? Nelly and Jessica Korda. Julie Inkster last time had to be convinced at the 11th hour by both sisters to allow them to play together. They could be the key to winning here for the US, or at least everything will be surrounding them around them. So how does Team USA pulls up the win, or how do you see them losing?
I would not pair Nelly and Jessica together. I know they like to play together, but I really think you need Jessica paired with one of the younger players in those team events. So I would split them up. But guys, I'm sorry, Kieran, but I have to agree with you again.
Sorry. Say again.
I know. I have to agree with Kieran. As I got into this more and more, this is not the strongest USA Solheim Cup team I've ever seen. To me, there are a lot of questions to be answered. The veterans, with the exception of Nelly, are not playing at their peak. The younger players seem to be experiencing like the dog days of summer. It gets to be a long season, and that affects performance. For the most part, these players are not big time winners of LPGA Tour events. Yeah, the Cordes have both won. Lexi and Danielle, yes. Lizette Sellis just won one time on tour. Ernst has 3 wins, but they're spread out over a few years. Ewing has 2 career wins, 1 this year. For the most part, these are journeyman players or new players. They make cuts, fairly consistent, but they're certainly not flashy. There are a total of 28 points. The USA has to win 14.5 to win back the cup. If Nelly gets 2, Lexi gets 2, Danielle gets 2, Lizette 1.5, Jessica 1.5, Cupchow, Harrogate, and No get a total of 3. That's a total of 12. Somehow the rest of the team has to get 2.5 points. They may be hard to come by. Nelly has to be nearly perfect. Lexi has to pick it up, and Kang has to be strong in the team matches. I just, these are not winners. They're not names that have won a lot of LPGA Tour events. I really think the European team has a very good chance of beating the US team outright, let alone tying and keeping the cup. I think they're going to win by a couple of points, guys.
It looks like it, and definitely I have to agree with you guys that the team for Europe. I mean, you see Emily Pedersen, Georgia Hall, Carlota Ciganda, Charlie Hall, Anna Nordqvist, Sophia Popov. Like you were saying, Fred, I think just winners all over the place there. And also when you see players like Matilda Castron, who's as in form as you can find, Nana Madsen also playing amazing, Leonard Maguire, Madeline Saxton. Then you have the veteranship of Mel Reed. You can actually see also momentum coming from Team Europe, and you don't see that from Team USA, which you would like to see more informed players. If you don't have the names, but at least you have informed players going into this, then you can say, hey, yeah, I can see how Team USA can win. Now, that element as well, maybe, you know, nobody's expecting them to win because of that kind of a team that Team Europe has. Like Kieran was saying, if Team USA is able to, you know, get some putts going, win some holes here, get the crowd going, that could get very difficult for the rookies or the inexperienced ones in Team Europe. But definitely, I have to agree with you guys. I see Team Europe as the winner this year. So now, Fred, I'm going to give you the first chance to give you some closing thoughts.
Yeah, as I look at these team events like Ryder Cups, President's Cups, I look at the depth, the lower players versus the lower players of the other team. The lower players of the European team are better than the lower players of the European team has more depth. So when it comes down to those crucial last matches on Monday for singles, I like the European Tour's chances. I just don't see the Americans having the depth to pull this thing off.
Kieran, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think the American team is certainly top heavy in terms of its players. And the more I look at the European side, I see a side there that is full of winners. It's full of players who are confident, have won big events, have contended in big events recently, very recently indeed, the Women's Open. And the more I look at that, I do see them as a winning team. But that said, there is still the obstacle of being away from home, and that is a challenge for any team, no matter how talented you are and how deep you are, to overcome. That'll be the challenge for Katrina Matthew and her players. But I do think that if this match is close going into the final day, I think the European team will be very hard to beat. So I'm going to say that it's going to be close. I don't see it being a blowout win either way. I think it's going to be within a couple of points. But I think the European team just has enough there to edge out the Americans and claim a victory, which would be a tremendous win and would continue, as you said at the start of the show, Carlos, would continue this resurgent run the European team has enjoyed over the past decade or so. They're starting to become the not necessarily dominant team in the Solheim Cup, but certainly very competitive. And maybe that draws parallels back to the Ryder Cup back in the 1980s, where, yes, Americans had fun for decades, but now it's Europe's time. And a win here, Carlos, would confirm that it really is Europe's time.
And definitely we look forward to see what's going to happen. I too agree it's going to be a very interesting match to watch, but we still see all three of us. Yes, I'm saying it. I can't believe we're saying this. All three of
Unanimous.
us agree that Team Europe should be the winner this weekend. So thank you for joining us. And hope you enjoy this week. It's going to be a great one. Remember to subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with the latest in golf news and information. Also follow us on Twitter. So thank you for joining.